We're back with Chris Cillizza, Jill Zuckman, and Howard Fineman. Let me start on the, let's take a look at the Republican side, starting with Howard again. Howard, it seems to me that, that there's something percolating here on the right. I guess we could have predicted it. The people who are against abortion and who don't like anybody who's pro-choice or would allow it legally, they really are against it, by the way. They're not just for throwing it back to the states. Let's not kid ourselves. They want to get rid of it. They want to outlaw it, put doctors in jail for doing it, or maybe even people in jail for doing it. Let me ask you, what do you think of this? Is there going to actually be a rebellion before the convention, or will they wait and see who Rudy picks if he wins it for his VP?
Yeah, I think it's too soon to tell. I think just for the sake of argument, let's say Rudy Giuliani is the nominee. I'm not convinced they're going to bolt to a third party. I think they're going to want their seat at the table. Don't forget, the last time the Republicans went through this was in 2000, the run-up to 2000 campaign. They had their candidate. He was George W. Bush after John Ashcroft dropped out. George Bush literally had the laying on of hands, Chris, of all the evangelicals. There was a meeting out in Texas where they came to literally put the hands on him. That's not going to happen this time because none of the frontrunners, none of the top candidates are their guy on abortion. Ironically, of the top four, the one who's closest to their position on abortion, who's been the most consistent over the years, is John McCain. And yet you heard Perkins earlier say McCain is questionable. Well, McCain isn't questionable on abortion. He's questionable on a whole lot of other things as far as the right is concerned, the religious right, but not on abortion.
Fundraising is their big concern, as I've observed over the years. The funny thing is the most spiritual among us seem to be most interested in the lucre, getting the hands on as much money as they can to for third-party fundraising.
Or the power.
Hey, Chris, don't underestimate the unifying power on the religious right of Hillary Clinton. Remember, you know, the reality is that Rudy Giuliani's not running against generic Democrat in their mind. He's running against Hillary Clinton. There's no one, I think, that the sort of religious right, social conservatives would less like to see as president of the United States than Hillary Clinton. I think they may get behind Giuliani as the old lesser of two evils argument, frankly, if he winds up being the nominee.
Chris, I actually thought this was more of an anti-Giuliani effort. They may not have settled on who their choice is for the Republican nominee, but they're suddenly we're just a few months before we're really going to pick a nominee, and this guy is still in there, and he favors abortion rights, and he's completely anathema.
Do you think they, Chris, do you think they might be against him because he's an Italian Catholic, and that's what it's really all about? Well, and they don't want to admit it?
As an Italian Catholic myself, I sure hope not. But no, I mean, I think it's. I don't know, but I think it's probably much more about. I mean, remember, this is not sort of like a side issue for a lot of people in the social conservative movement. This is the issue. There is no other issue. All the other issues spring from this. So I think it's more likely that on that huge issue, they're in disagreement with him than anything else.
Chris, what this is about is that they don't have a candidate. They really don't have a soulmate here. George Bush and Karl Rove made it their business to make George Bush their soulmate in 2000, especially after John Ashcroft got out, and he was. There is no equivalent in this race. Romney's history, Rudy's history, Fred Thompson's history, less so McCain, but McCain for other reasons. There isn't a candidate that they can get behind. So